Tonight's episode is both shocking and disturbing. It talks about the dangers of incest and the devastating consequences it can have on families. It's a case that raises a lot of questions. But the most important question is, how did nobody see this coming? It's the case of Steven Pladl, right now on Love and Murder. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Love and Murder, your weekly true crime podcast discussing relationships gone terribly wrong, where our motto is, you're either someone's last love or their first murder. I am your host, Kai, and I am so happy to be here for the third season of Love and Murder. Can y'all imagine? Anyway, this show discusses true crime cases told in the form of a story with mystery and suspense. Be sure to subscribe to Love and Murder on whatever platform you're on, as well as give us a 5-star review right now so you don't forget. If you're new here, then listen to the episode first, of course, and then please rate us. Also, welcome! In today's episode, we're diving into the twisted and shocking story of Steven Pladl. But first, I wanted to remind you to head on over to our exclusive LAM group at patreon.com/love and murder. Last week, we posted the interrogation of Michael Rafferty and Terry Lynn from episode 80, as well as me reading the entire trial transcript, which was crazy. This week, we're talking about some of the creepiest unsolved mysteries out there. www.patreon.com/love and murder so you don't miss out. Get in at the $5 or above tier. Now, on to the show. Steven Pladl was born on April 6, 1975, in Levittown, Nassau County, New York, to mother Grace Pladl. Nothing in my research was mentioned about his father. I could not find anything about his father. However, as a kid, Steven was often bullied. People made fun of him, and I felt pretty bad for him because he always seemed like a really quiet kid that, stayed by himself. And if I can look back now with my lens, I would say there was something off. So he was born in 75, which means he went to school in the 80s. And then in the 80s, it wasn't like it was now, like it is now. People didn't really talk about bullying, even though it definitely existed. Back in the 80s and 90s, people just got bullied, You either fought your bully or you took what your bully gave you. So the fact that he was bullied as a kid and people just thought he was weird, that definitely probably had an effect on him. Definitely, probably. That had an effect on him. I can't say anybody that it didn't have an effect on in one way or another if they were bullied in school. Now, I couldn't find much about Steven's first wife, but they got married in 1995 and had a daughter who they named Denise in 1998, who they ended up putting up for out-of-state adoption. So Steven's first wife was 17 at the time, and he was 22. Now, according to his first wife, Steven had a history of abusive behavior and even threatened to kill her and the children. He was both verbally and physically abusive towards the family. But she stayed with him. Don't really know why. Maybe for the kids, or maybe she felt like she didn't have any other choice. She also revealed that she gave the baby up for adoption when she was 8 months old because she believed that Steven had begun abusing the baby, not to mention that they were young and poor. So she just wanted the baby to have a happy life, and she felt that her and Steven couldn't give the baby that. And this is why she gave her up for adoption. So then my question is, why did she stay with Steven then? Which is totally her prerogative, but why did she continue staying with him and then proceeded to have 2 more babies with him? Quote, "It was so hard to give her up, but I had to because I wanted her to live and be happy." End quote. Now, further north and 18 years later, Katie Fusco, who was actually Denise Pladl, decided that she wanted to know who her real parents were after being told that she was adopted, so she went in search of them. She'd been adopted by Tony and Kelly Fusco, who lived in Dover, New York. Now, Dover is 80 miles north of New York City. Did look that up. They raised her in a happy home along with their biological daughter, so she was raised with a sister. Kelly's brother said, quote, "They had a very, very normal life. My nickname for Katie was Pac-Man. She was always eating. She loved animals. She was a vegetarian." End quote. Growing up, Katie wanted to be an artist, and in high school, Dover High School, everyone knew her for drawing like little comic strips. That's similar to what my brothers used to do. My brothers all got the drawing gene. I can't draw worth anything. Maybe a stick figure, but then you'll still even be like, is that a person you tried to draw? I can't draw. When she graduated, she planned to go to college for digital advertising. And she said, quote, "A pen and something to draw on became a safe place for me. Ink became my weapon against rules and regulations. To be short, for me, a life without art is no life at all." That's what she said, end quote. So anyway, instead of going to college like she'd planned, she went online and began tracking her real parents down. And she successfully found Steven on social media. And in August of 2016, when she was 18, she moved in with her parents somewhere close to Richmond, VA. Now, not everybody gets this special treatment. Sometimes when you find your parents, they're just like, what are you doing here? So it was really great that, Steven and his wife, which is her mother, were happy to see her and accepted her into the home. So, she has something that a lot of adopted people wish for. I'm assuming. Let me not speak for them. I'm assuming. So I apologize if you are an adopted person and you're not looking for that. It was then that she found out she had siblings, 2 younger sisters. By this time, the marriage between Steven and his wife was already breaking down. Quote, "I was always on eggshells. Whatever his mood was, everybody knew, and that mood was often not happy. A lot of yelling, a lot of things smashed in the house in front of our kids." She also went on to confide in Katie and let her know why she gave her up for adoption. Wow. She told her she thought that Steven was abusing her as a baby and that she gave her up for her own safety. Now, Katie, on the other hand, appeared really unconcerned about this information. After Katie moved in, Steven started acting weird. For instance, he started wearing tighter clothes, skinny jeans and tight shirts, like the younger generation. He'd also grown his hair longer and shaved his facial hair. So this kind of sounds like a midlife crisis? Like, what is going on? Unfortunately, in November 2016, Steven and his wife split up. It's interesting to note that when she moved out, she'd told someone that by that time, Steven had been sleeping on Katie's floor and had told one of his other children to call Katie, quote, stepmom. I have a mixture of both what and ew rolling around inside of me. Not only did his wife leave him, but she filed a restraining order on him against her and their last 2 daughters. Steven had started sleeping on Katie's floor only 6 weeks after she moved in. After the second night of doing that, his wife had confronted him about it, but he told her to mind her business, mind your damn business, and stormed out of the house with Katie in tow. Wow. As for the stepmom thing, Steven's ex-wife found out about this in May of 2017 after she had read her 11-year-old daughter's journal and saw this, that he told her to call Katie stepmom. Quote, "I started to become hysterical and I called him. I said, 'Is Katie pregnant with your baby?' And he just said, 'I thought you knew. We're in love.' I started screaming. I was just cursing him out. 'How could you? You're sick. She's a child.'" End quote. So then she called the police, and I can't blame her. So they were having sex and in a relationship at this time. And all I have to say to that is, what in the actual F, man? In July 2017, Katie posted a photo of her on Instagram that said, quote, Nothing fancy, just love. And that was followed by hashtags just married, simple wedding, and pregnancy. Do you understand what's happening here? In the picture, it showed July 20th and a black and white picture of a pregnant woman kissing a man. So I'm guessing the pregnant woman is Katie and she's kissing Steven. Ew. I'll post this picture in our Patreon, so just head on over there if you want to see the picture. Steven and Katie got married, and I say that in air quotes, got married on July 20th, 2017 in a lakeside ceremony in Parkton, Maryland. On their application, they obviously lied because it is not legal to get married to your dad in any state that I know of. But anyways, so they lied and they said they were unrelated. The ceremony was attended by her adopted parents and his mother. Wait, what? They were complicit in this? Oh my God. Katie's adoptive parents went along with it because they figured there was nothing they could do and figured they might as well support her. Okay. Katie gave birth to a child, Bennett, on September 1st, 2017. And during November 17th, Steven and Katie moved to Raleigh, North Carolina, because arrest warrants were issued for them for their incestual marriage. Then, in North Carolina, they were accused of, quote, planning to marry and charged with incest. Now, if they were convicted of this charge, they could each spend 10 years in prison. They were actually arrested in January 2018, but then they were released from jail on bail in March 2018. Steven's mother ended up getting custody of Bennett. The condition for Steven's release was that he not make any contact with Katie. I like when authorities think that just by saying something, it shall be so. Now, we're going to let you go, but you have to promise you're going to listen, all right? No going back to Katie now. Got it? Yeah, right. So she was supposed to move back in with her adopted parents and move to New York. Now, Steven's attorney, Rick Friedman II, alleged that Steven pressured Katie into a relationship. That's his attorney saying this now. Quote, "This case is an 18-year-old girl who shows up at the doorstep of a 40-year-old man who's going through difficult times with his wife. They had a bond because they're biologically related, but they never knew each other before they had a sexual relationship. He was head over heels in love with her, so much so that outweighed the issue of them being biologically related." End quote. Control yourself. Anyway, Katie moved back in with her adopted parents, like I said, but every Tuesday and Thursday, she would travel to her adoptive grandmother's house, which was in Waterbury, Connecticut, and, life just went on. On April 11th, Steven picked up the baby from his mom, saying that he was taking him to see his mother, Katie, in New York. On April 12th, a 911 call came in.
911, address of the emergency.
Yes. My son just called me, and he told me oh my God, in North Carolina, he killed his baby, and he's in the house.
Okay, you said that he told you he killed his baby? Okay, ma'am, listen to me. What's your name? Okay, tell me exactly what happened.
He's not home. His wife broke up with him over the phone yesterday, and he told me, she's in New York, and he told me he was on his way. He called me last night and said he's on his way. He's going to bring the baby to her, and then he was coming back. And he just
okay.
He said he killed his wife, he killed her father, and I can't even believe this is happening.
And did this happen in Nightdale?
No, his wife and father are in New York.
Okay,
And,
so the incident
but
actually...
he left the baby dead when he left.
Okay, where did he leave the baby?
Okay, he said it was in the...
What's your son's name? What's his last name?
Same as mine.
When did this happen?
He said he left last night. He called me, I forget, maybe about 7 last night, and said he was on his way to New York. He was going to bring to his wife and give it to her, and then he'd be back. And he called me this morning. I just got off the phone just a couple of minutes ago, and oh God, he told me to call the police, that I shouldn't go over there.
Okay, so so your son is not there?
No, the house is empty. He said he put a key under the front mat. A key to get into the house under the front mat.
Did he say how he did it? Or what
no,
he did?
And I didn't ask him. I didn't want to know. Oh, my God. He's such a wonderful little...
Okay, hold on just a second, okay? Okay.
Hello?
Okay, I'm still here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get you over to Raleigh Communications, okay? Let me talk first when I call, okay, so I can kind of give them an idea of what was going on, and then I'm going to let you speak with a telecommunicator, okay?
All right.
All right, hold on for me, okay?
Okay.
Are you still with me?
I'm here.
Hey, this is over in Cary. I have a lady wanting to report a possible homicide.
All right.
And she states that she got a call from her son. Was it this morning?
Yes.
This morning, stating that his wife had split up with him, and she was in New York, and that he killed left him upstairs at the residence.
Just a moment, okay?
So I'm still here, okay?
Okay.
Do you know if he's still at home?
No, he's not.
He's not? Okay.
Okay, Raleigh, I'm going to disconnect.
Okay, thank you, Carrie.
Uh-huh.
So on Thursday, April 12th, as I said, Tuesday and Thursday, they had a routine. So Katie and her adopted father did their normal routine, leaving Dover to drive to Waterbury. Surveillance video caught Steven watching their departure from a minivan down the road. A short time later, witnesses called 911 stating that they heard gunfire. When police arrived, they found Tony and Katie shot to death. A manhunt began for Steven, but quickly ended when they found him in Dover. He'd driven back to North Carolina, parked the car on the road, and shot himself to death. The picture of where he was found is also in our Patreon. So at first, no one knew where the baby was, but if you listened to the 911 call, you heard what the mother said. And the mother told officers that Steven had picked him up, and then, whatever was also said in the 911 call, which is basically, he told me he killed the baby, and he left the key under the doormat for me. So that's some of what was said in that 911 call. So, of course, officers ran over to Steven's and Katie's home, and when they got in there, they found the baby alone and dead in the house. So he had shot the baby as well. Now, no one really knows why this happened, but it's alleged that Katie had called Steven, even though she wasn't supposed to have contact with him. She broke that order. She called him and told him that the relationship was over on April 10th, which was the day he picked up the baby. The day before he picked up the baby. Attorney Rick Friedman told WNCN TV in North Carolina, quote, "This is a terrible tragedy that nobody foresaw. I really believe that if the judges or the prosecutor or the defense attorneys in this case had any clue that the minor child or anyone would be harmed, there would not be a bond set for any of the parties." End quote. This was a sad and disturbing story. Keep in mind that although I did find the name of Steven's ex-wife, she would prefer to remain anonymous to protect her children, so I didn't include it in the case. So, what did y'all think of this case? Do you think anyone could have done anything more to try and stop these events? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review us on whatever platform you're listening from. Don't forget to visit us on Patreon to become an exclusive member of the Lamb community. You get commercial-free, full-length, early release episodes of Love and Murder, as well as some extras of whatever case we're covering. You also get bonus content like cases about love obsessions or cases with the craziest crimes or serial killer corner. You also get host stories, behind the scenes, and so much more. We have options starting at only $1 a month, but the best tier is the $5 a month. So come on over. Follow us on social media at facebook.com/relationshipcrime, Instagram at Love Murder Podcast. Join our Facebook fan group by searching for Love and Murder fan page in Google or Facebook, or by simply clicking in the show notes below. You can also find our awesome merch by going to our website, www.murderandlove.com, and clicking on our shop in the menu above. And an easy and free way to help us out is by simply sharing this episode. Share it with your mom, share it with your dad. That's literally the only thing you should be sharing with your mom and your dad. Share it with your brother, sister, share it with your friends. Share with your neighbor. Share. And as always, we end each episode by reminding you that it's all love and no murder, y'all. Bye.